What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? You already know what time it is. You either get right or you get left. So go ahead and get right. Sit back, relax. We got you covered. It's the Birdcage special edition this week. Let's go.
Okay, y'all, this is it.
Hey, you know how we get down. You either get right or you get left, man. We're doing a special edition of the Birdcage. We're going to talk a lot of Falcon football tonight because tomorrow we have a big time interview with an HBCU legend and Mr. Billy Joe. 7 national championships outside of that and going to the College Football Hall of Fame. He was a hell of a player in his own right. 1963 AFL rookie of the year, but also got a Super Bowl ring as well. So the man has definitely produced some stuff. But we're going to talk Falcons football, and we're going to talk about the home team right about now because it's been kind of quiet, but we still have some things to discuss and get out here. I got some folks that are going to be joining us tonight, but joining me right now, we got K-Dub in the building. What's up, A1? I see you out there in the chat. Appreciate you coming through. What's good, K-Dub?
What's up? What's up? Good in the building tonight with you, historian, and the rest of the Birdcage followers and listeners out there. I'm glad to get into the topics tonight. We've had a couple of additions to the Falcons, and let's go. I'm intrigued. It's the off season. Let's go.
So here's the thing, man. And what we're gonna do tonight, because we haven't done it in a while, we're gonna have a segment where we do let fans on. So we'll let them in tonight as well. But we got some folks that are going to be stopping through tonight. It was supposed to have some folks stopping through. That's if their obligations come through, but they had some invites. But getting to it, man, let's go ahead and talk about this real quick. And this isn't even going to be quick, but I think this is actually something that we really need to discuss. Kirk Cousins has been sighted in Cleveland, Ohio. And where he was sighted at, it was nowhere near the stadium. But remember, he was with Kevin Stefanski when Kevin Stefanski was in Minnesota and was balling out under that system and that regime. How do you feel with him showing up in Cleveland? How is that going to emerge, and that's really going to play into possibly getting him shipped there? What do you think? How do you feel about that?
Well, I just feel like he's got the spoiled brat mentality. He's doing everything that he can to try to get out of Atlanta. I think he just needs to hold that clipboard and wait for the right opportunity to lead. If it's Cleveland or if it's another franchise, I do believe on my end that we will wait around to maybe during the draft or either at the trade deadline. That's when he'll get moved, because you got to think, once we move him, we don't have a backup quarterback. We can speculate and all these things of that nature, but I think what I believe will happen is that he's going to have to wait till one of the other quarterbacks from other franchises gets hurt, and then they'll make a trade or something like that for him, like a team that's in the playoff hunt or something like that once the season begins. I feel like with the way the league is played out now, with quarterbacks that can move and get there and move around in the pocket, either white, black, or indifferent. Everybody that can move, and the days of sitting back there in the pocket like the Matt Ryans and the Kirk Cousins of the world is over. So I just my opinion, but I just feel like he has a place in this league, but it will be in a try to save somebody's season type of situation, because people always quarterbacks are always going down for the season and things of that nature. But if we can move him during the draft for picks, I'm all for that. But all things doing, it's like a spoiled brat mentality, because you've gotten paid, man. You've gotten paid at every stop that you've been at. So it's all about, you think that you can still be a starter in this league, but your last few games, either injured or indifferent, showed otherwise. So if we can Cleveland, that'd be great. But that's just my opinion on the situation. I just feel like he's doing everything. He's trying to call meetings with Arthur Blank. He's being spotted and cited and seen in Cleveland. I mean, this man is all over the place, making a dang a tour stop like Kirk Cousins tour. I mean, come on, man. Sit back, relax, hold that clipboard tight, and when the right deal comes up, hey, matter of fact, drop that no trade clause so we can, have opportunities to trade you to other teams besides where you want to go. Because in the benefit of Atlanta, we haven't got anything out of that deal. We've lost in the long run because of all the money and the stipulation we put out there for you. So you're at our mercy right now. We got all the cards. The cards are in our hands, and got to see how we want to if we want to hold them or fold them. So. Or put him out there and let's go get it. So it is what it is with Cousins, but that's why I'm getting on the subject.
So before we do that, because I want Smitty to tap in on this, man. Welcome to the cage, my country cousin. We got Smitty Smith in the place to be. You too can have fabulous hair. We going back to the old Tom Joyner Morning Show with that one, with that ISO plus. What's good, Big Smitty?
Hey man, I ain't got no hair. I'm telling y'all, I'm straight bald head.
Hey man, you getting the beard up in there though. You getting the beard. Man. What's up?
Yeah, I got some of that old ash in there.
Hey man, spread a little bit of that ISO plus on it, bro. It'll be all right.
I'll try that, but I don't think it's gonna do no good.
But so how do you feel about Kirk Cousins going to Cleveland or whatnot, man? I mean, if it's a possibility, and him floating around Cleveland right now, and what could possibly happen? How do you feel that this is going down in your opinion?
Honestly, bro, I think it's a done deal. That talk with Arthur Blank, and Arthur Blank, he pretty much said it himself that they had a conversation about that, and we knew it. But to go to Cleveland and pop up on somebody else's photo on Instagram, that was a sign that I'm here and I'm finna talk to them and see what's up. And him not wanting to drop that no trade clause until after the draft, clean indicator. He probably went to Cleveland and said, hey man, what y'all gonna do? What y'all gonna do with that number 2 pick? It should do Sanders in play, possibly. But I think with Kevin Stefanski, him having that relationship with him, I think that makes it all the more sense. And as we talked on the show earlier, I don't think Deshaun Watson goes back to Cleveland, so he will have at least a year or two there before they turn over the reins, because there's still quarterbacks in this draft if they want to take a chance on a rookie quarterback. There's the guy from Louisville, Jackson Dart, who may go in the first round. You got Jalen Milroe, who we talked about earlier. So there are quarterbacks in this draft. And there's still veterans like Ryan Tannehill out there that could possibly come in and back. So, I mean, I'm just saying it's just other backups out there. But, yeah, if he got a clear shot to be the starter, I expect him to be in Cleveland.
Well, I say this here. At this point, everybody's saying get rid of him. I'm looking at it like this. We already done wasted this money. So I'm saying this here. He got to stay. Now, if we get something back for him, a third or a fifth round pick, the 2 picks that we missed, and we gave up a third because of Judon, but we missed out on a fifth because of this dude opening his mouth. If we can get either one of those back and get him up out of here, I'm fine with it, because again, you got John Paddock on the side. So that is a capable backup, very capable backup. Hell, he'd be starting in some teams or whatnot if he was with a better college team. Let's just be honest. The kid can ball.
Yeah.
But again,
but you got to think about this too. Like I said earlier, and we were talking during the show earlier. You got to think about compensation as well. Yeah, you talk about that 3rd round pick. That sounds all in good, but they're going to want a draft pick to take on that $27.5 million. That is the thing that a lot of us are not thinking about. So if we do get off that contract, we may have to give up a 3rd round down the road or a 4th round down the road. But it's going to be consequences to getting off of that contract. That's just how it go. And if y'all remember the Jared Goff situation in LA when he got traded to the Lions for Matthew Stafford, they still had to throw in an extra draft pick just to take on that contract. So it happens. And I think it's going to happen in this case as well.
However, Stafford, you got to also remember.
We're going to give him Cousins and a pick.
I think so.
That's pretty much what that's going to happen.
To take on that contract. Now, if we trade him and they only take on part of it, if they take on part of the contract, then yeah, we won't have to give up a pick. But if they take on a whole 27.5, which we had a cap space, you had a cap space to do so. Oh yeah, you got to give a pick. I don't know what round it'll be, but it'll be a draft pick, I think.
Pay the cost to be the boss.
Yeah, if they take on if they take on the money, yes, I see that happening. But if we're on the foot for the bill, I want those picks, man. I want picks out of them. But that's why I say
they're not gonna give up the picks if we footing the bill. It would just pretty much be like what happened with Russell Wilson and Denver. They weren't giving up no picks because they was giving up cash to him. Pittsburgh just got a team-friendly deal with $1.5 million, which we could have got last year, honestly. But
think about
again, I got to get on this one. $1.5 million to $180 million. We literally could have made that move. However, there's folks that want to keep saying that this was Arthur Blank. No, this wasn't Arthur because of Kirk. This was Raheem Morris because he needed familiarity at that quarterback spot. Because at the end of the day, he was looking at the fact of, okay, if I can't get Michael Penix Jr. or Jaden Daniels, because those are the 2 quarterbacks that he did look at because he talked about it. He said, hell, I got to have somebody that's going to be here that's going to play quarterback. So again, Penix falls in our lap at that spot that we drafted, but we had a veteran quarterback here. That's where the controversy started. But he was already thinking, you're thinking like we might not get him, which I understand. You have to cover your butt because say Cousins goes somewhere else and Penix got drafted somewhere else. Who are you going to have at quarterback at that point? It sucks to say it this way, but it makes sense of why that move was made. Now, all the other hoopla that happened afterwards, that's just straight noise and foolishness. That's stuff that I don't even get into. It's like you got a job, you on a contract. I pretty much fulfill your obligation until we no longer need your services. Pretty much like the military. That's how I look at it.
And Cleveland also is going to get him at a discount because if we foot the bill, he's going to sign there for the vet minimum.
Exactly.
So
because they still wrapped up in the Deshaun Watson contract where it's a ton of money and they're really trying to get up off of Watson right now.
Yeah, they just kicked the can down the road. That's how they got $36 million.
That's why I need him to lift the no trade clause because Cleveland can't be the only option we send him to. That's why you got to work with us, man.
But he controls that.
Everybody else already said.
Well, we control you sit on the bench with the clipboard.
That's why I said you might as well just eat this contract. Terry and Raheem got to eat this as well as McCain and Arthur Blank, and they got to sit him down because there are no suitors out here right now. There really aren't. Cleveland is really the only viable option because Pittsburgh ain't fixing to take him.
Yeah, but I don't see that fit with Arthur Smith. Yeah, I don't
exactly. And then you have
that's why
the Giants who just signed Jameis Winston, and they were looking at Kirk Cousins, but they just signed Jameis Winston. And who was the other quarterback that they signed? They signed 2 quarterbacks, matter of fact.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah. Russell Wilson. That was the other one. So they signed 2. And then Minnesota is not gonna take him back because they just re-signed Sam Darnold and they got JJ McCarthy or whatnot that's getting ready to come off this knee injury, and we're gonna see what's up. So at this point,
Sam Darnold got San Fran now, right?
No, Seattle.
No, he ain't going to San Fran.
Seattle.
They already
Seattle.
They're
Sam Darnold
getting
to
ready
Seattle.
to extend Brock Purdy. They've already talked about this today. They're going to extend Brock Purdy. They're just working negotiations with that. And they also have very capable backups on their team already. So
I mean, I said the wrong team, right? He went to Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. Well,
Yes,
all I say is this: Seattle.
But that's what I'm saying. You got to wait for better opportunities to open it. That's why I was saying I see him getting moved at trade. There's going to be injuries in the NFL. That's when his opportunity to leave is going to be available. Because right now, this I can only deal with Cleveland. Man, get out of here. I got to have opportunity.
Yeah, the only other option, like Berto said, Titans are a dark horse. But the only other team outside of Tennessee, Cleveland, the only other team that I can see is Indianapolis. That's the only.
And they got 3 quarterbacks on the roster. There's no way in the hell they're gonna sign that boy. And that's just took
the season
Jones.
starts.
Say again.
I'm talking about somebody.
Well, I mean,
that's before the season starts.
That's cool. But what teams do you know that's gonna really want to take on his money at this point? Outside of us, what teams? And we got to see the drop off and the decline, and they saw all the drama that he's already brought to the table with Atlanta. What team is going to want to spend that much money, give up draft picks or whatnot to deal with that for a temporary fix for a headache of a solution? Who would want to do that?
That's why desperate measures. That's why you got to get a team with desperate measures. That's what I'm saying. somebody with injuries, they got a good record. They want to keep that momentum going. They're going to bring a veteran in. Kirk Cousins sitting there on Atlanta's bench. Then they're going to make a deal they probably don't want to make, but they make it.
I hate to break it to you, and this is just what it is. Nobody's going to take on that contract for the drama that his offseason this season right now, even with desperate teams, they would rather lose before they have somebody destroy their locker room. They would rather lose, and that's just the honest to God.
See, that's another thing. That's why Cleveland also makes sense, since he's familiar with Kevin Stefanski. He knows he can't go to Cleveland with that bull crap. So that is the only spot that probably can handle what's going on with him media wise. Because if he goes anywhere else, the reporter's gonna throw questions at him, and guess what? He gonna snitch again. And don't nobody want nobody like that in their locker room, man. Nobody.
Nope. Nobody wants that in that locker room, and that right there is a whole situation in itself.
On that bench. Career might be
and,
on the
and
bench.
Here's the thing. Now, this is the thing that no one wants to talk about. Knock on wood, but we got to be honest. We got Penix coming in. Penix can ball. But we also know that we have inconsistency on his blind side a lot. A hell of a lot.
Right.
With McGarry. Storm Norton is in and out of the lineup. They don't even start him. So if they start him, I feel like that would be better. But we have too much inconsistency on his blind side. He's the starter. He's the guy. You've got to fix that right side of that line at this point. You have to. Because, again, you're going to have games where you're going to see a guy like a J.J. Watt coming off the edge. I'm sorry, T.J. Watt coming off the edge where nobody can stop him. Because there are players in this league who play like that against some of the best offensive linemen that are in the game right now, that have games like that. And you have to protect your franchise quarterback at this point. So now that we know that he's the man, they worked out Kelvin Banks earlier last week or whatnot. However, we're in need of defense. We should have already taken an offensive lineman from the jump when we knew that you were going to take Penix last year. You should have taken a right tackle just to sit back and wait just in case McGarry has one of those hiccups again. Because it's not going to be too many more times that you can let a quarterback get hit. Not in this team, especially with Penix back there. Because Terry's job is on the line, and so is Raheem's job at this point.
Right. Absolutely.
How in the hell are these guys going to try to fix this right now with this offensive line? Because everyone's like, oh, yeah, we're getting better. Here's the thing. We don't need to get better. We need to already be better. Because we've been saying get better for 7 damn years. 7 years we've been saying this. When is it going to stop? When are we going to fix the problems and really address the issues?
When coaching get consistent.
K-Dub started the last topic. What you got?
when coaches get consistent, that's the only way we're gonna win football games. You saw it this year after we started 6-3. The coach was pretty consistent, and when he went down with that injury and him being injured, I think it had a mental effect on the team, and the coaches could not pick the team up, and we lost 4 straight. So yeah, consistent coaching is what it has to be. But to answer that question about who's the backup, I would be looking at Tyrod Taylor if he's available. Ryan Tannehill if he wants to come in and be a backup. You look at Case Keenum who started in the league. But there aren't many options. Or Teddy Bridgewater. There are about 3 to 4 quarterbacks that I would think about. But yeah, coaching and consistency with the coaching, man, is the biggest problem. And we've been seeing that for a while. So it's nothing new.
I say this, and I'm gonna pass it to K-Dub. Here's
I want to go get younger though.
John.
Go
The
ahead,
reason
I'm
I
sorry.
say John Paddock is this: we already know Tyrod Taylor's got a lot of wear and tear. We already know that, all the injuries and everything else. Case Keenum, up and down like the price of gasoline. 1 week he's hot, next week he's horrible. And then Tannehill's too long in the tooth. Too long in the tooth. And the system that we run does not fit what he does. It really doesn't. So at this point, you got to have a young gun behind Michael Penix or whatnot, because again, as we said before, we all know Penix's injury history. If you don't know it, look it up. I'm not saying that he's going to get hurt, but you still have to keep that in the back of your mind, because again, every football player has what we call a shelf life. We get a great right tackle, I think he has a longer shelf life. But if we keep Gary right there and he takes unnecessary hits, that shelf life starts to dwindle down. Think about it.
Okay. Hold on, K-Dub. I get what you're saying with that, with a shelf life. But what if you go out? What if you have a younger backup? Isn't that like taking a step backwards? Because even though you have a young quarterback in Michael Penix and you have a young quarterback behind him, and he's not familiar with the offense, I just think you just stuck in neutral. I don't think you go anywhere.
He was in the system last year. That's why I'm saying that.
But how much
he knows the offense? He's been in that system for a year already, and he moved up from the practice squad. He was up and down. So now you got a guy that's already been in that system for a year. When you're bringing in a guy off the street, I get that quarterbacks are the smartest guys in the room. You have to remember, they have to learn that system that this kid has already been in for a year, and he already understands it. Yes, they have experience over him, but learning a playbook that's about that thick, that's not easy to do, not in a short period of time.
But to me also with that, I feel like that kind of makes you one-dimensional until he catches on and get into rhythm with the rest of the offense. So that means there'll be more, I would say, weight on the shoulders of Bijan, more weight on the shoulder of Tyler Algier and the offensive line, which you're a run team anyway. But I feel like if you need to move the ball down the field, it's going to slow you down just a little bit, having to, to me, wait on that quarterback to come along. That's all. And just like y'all said too with Michael Penix, it's really his rookie season. So you're gonna have, problems with him, at some points in the season. But it's all in growing pains.
That's why we say you got to strengthen the defense, because he only played 3 games last year. Yes, he was great. And he looked great in those 3 games. But understand this, now that teams have footage on him and teams actually see the weaknesses and the strengths, you have to have a defense that's going to be able to keep us in games if he screws up, because it's going to happen. It is going to happen. Interceptions happen, fumbles happen. That's part of the game. But you have to be able to have a defense to be able to keep us in the game. That's why this defensive draft is so important. So, Will, what's up, Will? We see you out there. No, we can't cut Kirk because that'll cost us too much money in the salary cap. It'll kill us with dead cap money. So, that's the reason why we're not cutting them.
$40 million.
K-Dub. So, in this situation, when you look at being able to hit on the defense or whatnot, or possibly get a couple of defensive players and land a very good offensive lineman to protect his backside, as I said, I still want Carson Vincent. I've been saying this. Dude plays every position on the line, every spot. And Steve Weiss talked about it. How would you feel if we go defensive heavy and then we grab a guy that can actually protect Kirk's blind side? How would you feel? How would you feel with the comfort level of this team?
Well, like I say, man, we know we're going defense first. I feel like we will address the offensive line through undrafted free agency or something, maybe in one of those 7th round picks. But we're going defensive heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not so inept and up in my panties in a bunch about the offensive line. We got one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. If you just go by the rankings. I mean, we get on this thing.
Are you going by the rankings? I want to ask
that. I'm just saying.
No,
I understand that he gives up sacks.
I'm not saying just him, because we got killed in the middle of the offensive line too with sacks. We gave up too many sacks last year in between with Cousins already, and that's how he got hurt. But we had a ton of sacks we gave up. So when you say according to the rankings are BS to me. I'm just asking. So you really want to go?
But can I finish my soliloquy though? I'm just saying what I feel. I feel like our offensive line is not as bad as you feel, and I feel like we're going to address the offensive line. We will bring in guys behind McGarry. McGarry is not that bad. He's one of the excellent run blockers in the league. One is we got to work about his pass protection, but guess what? We got a quarterback that gets rid of the ball a lot quicker and faster. Kirk Cousins did. He got a quicker mind in him. If you look at his tape at Washington, he gets rid of the football. So that means once they get the football off, they hit him, then that's foul. That's a penalty. See, the key thing is we got a different quarterback that was back there last year. They got a small sample size. I don't think the league has seen the best of Michael Penix yet. You only got 3 games. That's a very small sample size. The key thing with me is I'm a Penix conductor over here. So the key thing is if I'm not so afraid and so worried about his blind side, then you should. The key thing is let those guys build up the defense like you're saying. Let them get better in the defensive tooth so we can get there and go out there and stop the ball and get the ball back and give it back to Penix. But I'm not in the love fest with McGarry, but I'm not in a poo-poo with McGarry. I feel like he's one of the better run blockers out there in the league. Let him do his thing and bring in also help, like you're saying, at the HBC ranks in those later rounds, those 2 7th round picks, the undrafted free agent market, whoever won that Heritage Bowl or the Super Bowl for the Black History College, whoever that quarterback is, bring him in as an undrafted free agent. Let him back up Penix. I don't even know his name, but you may know his name, whatever he came from. But bring these guys in. Bringing in the right tackle. It's going to be guys out there. You got to do your homework and continue to do it. Continue to look over the homework because there's guys out there. You just have to go find the guys to add to the back of your roster to help you out. Our offensive line is not as bad as we think it is, and we got to continue to quit talking about how bad it is and motivate the guys because right now we need defense more than we need another right tackle. I just feel that's what I feel. Moving forward.
Yeah, and they did an excellent job last year.
I'm jumping on this.
Go ahead.
So this is what this is right here. Now, you say that it's not that bad, but let's be honest, dog. Look at all the sacks we gave up. It's not me crapping on them. It's the fact that what we saw on the field, and that's just what it is. You can have the quickest release. That's nice. That's great that he has that, but it's a totally different speed in NFL than it is in college. Because let's be honest, it's been times that he was able to get out of harm's way. But what can you do when you have a Watt coming off the edge, when you have a Garrett coming off the edge? So again, if you really want to sit back and say that or whatnot, Caleb McGarry really isn't that. You're speaking on just the run blocking. You think about it. We have a passing offense. We're not going to be a run-heavy offense. We love Bijan. Yes, it is not a run-heavy offense. This is an aerial arsenal with this quarterback right here. This is pretty much what you're bringing him for. And guess what? That release isn't always going to be there when he's got somebody coming on his blind side and taking him out. Again, so when you look at it, you really have to dissect everything. Most people don't want to sit back and talk about it or whatnot, but our pass blocking is not one of the best in the league. That is what we get killed on. Stop just throwing the run blocking out there because we know the run blocking has been good since Arthur Smith was here. Hell, it was good when Dan Quinn was here. That's not the problem. It's pass blocking. because if you go back to when Matt Ryan was in his last few years, Matt was still getting yards off, but he was getting killed because pass blocking was atrocious. We have not had a good offensive line with pass blocking since 2017. Since 2017. That's 7 years. Now, I've been preaching defense for the longest. I've been saying this on every episode. I just chose to go a different direction in this episode because eventually we got to get rid of it. We got to get rid of the weak link with pass blocking. Nigel is solid. And then when you sit back and look at it, we really sit back and just say Jake is all reliable at that point. Dahlman's gone, unfortunately, which sucks. That was an anchor on this offense. So again, we have to see what this pass blocking is going to be. It's not poo-pooing anything. It's calling a spade a spade. So if me telling the truth is poo-pooing on this team, so the hell be it. That's where I'm at with it.
And they did a great job last year, man, using Charlie Warner as a blocking tight end on that side. So if they do keep McGarry and roll with McGarry, I think you'll see more 2 tight end sets this year.
But how often are we going to use tight ends, Smitty? Think about it. When we know Pitts is out there, we know he's not blocking. Defenses know he's not blocking. He's either going to get a pass or he's going out on a route.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
But I'm asking that's what I'm saying. But are we going to keep doing that? Because it's going to be real easy to detect. Okay, if you have Charlie Warner or this other blocking tight end that we grabbed on this side, guess where they're going to attack? They're either going to attack the middle with a brand new center, or they're literally going to start coming down, crashing with more numbers on that side and actually bringing more pressure to his blind side. So that's my concern. So if I have a concern about it, hey, it is what it is.
It does make you predictable, but I feel like that's the only way they're going to help McGarry on pass down. They still got to bring out that extra tight end, or they're going to have to put him in the backfield as an H-back to block it well. So it's either or.
Or bring a fullback in our offense. That's going to be the other way that we can protect Penix. I'm giving a positive trait spin on this one. Bring back the fullback to this offense.
I'm for fullback. I'm for that.
Yeah, Keith Smith for that all day.
And this is my thing. I'm looking at the deficiencies. If I'm a former defensive player, so it's certain deficiencies. If I'm seeing this and I didn't make it to the league, you got defensive coordinators salivating at the mouth. You have a left-handed quarterback that's going to turn this way, and they know that was the weak side of our O-line, even with tight end help. So, again, you have to come up with creative ways, and I feel like if you might want to try to find Keith Smith, see if this man is still around. Bring Keith Smith back at the fullback spot so we can protect this young quarterback again. That's what we need. We need a fullback in this offense, dog.
Right. I agree.
And
I like the fullback.
And that takes a lot of pressure off our running backs too. That's the other thing I'm looking at. Bijan lines up in a pistol formation a lot, and he has to do more work when he's actually moving. We get a fullback in here, we take 7 a lot of pressure
from the line of scrimmage.
And we control the line of scrimmage. How do y'all feel about y'all say y'all mess with it, but what wrinkles would y'all like to see with a fullback?
Man, I like an old school fullback, man. I mean, just it's extra beef and extra blockers, for the running game, and we like to run. I mean, for right now, we have Algier, we still have that battering ram. I mean, it'd be nice to have a fullback in this offense, to go out and catch passes, to block, to do all kind of dirty work. So that's just me. I mean, I'm from the old school, and I just feel like we can implement a fullback because of the tight end that we do have.
And would you like to see a fullback that comes into the system where we can use him like Patrick DeMarco, like how we used him in the passing game as well? A guy that could be a little bit versatile or whatnot.
Yeah, that'd be great. If we can get a Patrick DeMarco.
Yeah, and I think the zone running scheme that they use, I think when you have a fullback, it makes it more dynamic. If you remember when Zach Robinson was in LA, I think he had just got there, but Todd Gurley was on his way out. And the last year he had that knee injury, he had a fullback in front of him. If he didn't have that fullback in front of him, he wouldn't have ran for half the yards he did because his knee wasn't 100%. So if a zone blocking scheme and a fullback is just a match made in heaven. So I would love to see it.
Because, like we said, this offense, when you talk about this zone scheme, shout out to coach. Well, excuse me, he's not a coach anymore. He's Dr. Joe Taylor, but he was a coach who won a couple of national championships at Hampton University. He's the man who invented that zone scheme that Shanahan actually coined, because he tried, remember, Shanahan tried to get him to come with him to the NFL, because that blocking scheme won them a national championship back in the day at the little small school in Illinois that they coached at back in the day. So again, if you go back to it, that zone scheme has been implemented for over 20 years and enhanced in so many different ways. So if you really sit back and you look at it, you bring that type of blocking scheme in. Look at the Denver Broncos. They always had a fullback and a solid running back, and that scheme with a fullback always produced 1,000-yard back.
Yep.
Always produced 1,000-yard
we
back.
talked about Shanahan, he could bring in anybody off the street can run for 1,000 yards.
Yep. I mean, when you look at the backs that he had, from Clinton Portis, Terrell Davis, Hall of Famer. You look at Quentin Griffin, who was there out of Oklahoma, a little small running back that he had. I mean,
Mike
he
Anderson.
had Reuben Drones, and I always forget my man's name or whatnot. Mike Anderson, Marine.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Marine. I mean, when you really look at it, he never had a drop off after Terrell Davis fell off. He never had a drop off with backs that didn't produce, because even when he went to Washington, he still had 1,000-yard back. So
and the thing about it, if you get the running game going like that, which is real easy in the Shanahan offense, it makes it much easier on the quarterback. And if you make Michael Penix's job easy, he's going to pick defenses apart. Just like K Dub talked about his quick release. If you can have a quick release with a guy like that, man, look, it's going to be 25 to 30 points a game every Sunday. Because if the run game is working like it's supposed to, play action is going to work. Then you're going to use the speed with Mooney and Pitts. So, it's going to come together, man. They just have to, like K Dub says, you got to do your homework, man.
But the problem is, we've had so many diamonds in the rough that we've let slip through. It's not, I'm not even gonna say a nightmare, but it's been frustrating, because when you look at this team and the potential that this team could have right now, right, it's frustrating to see talent on this team being wasted. Agreed. It is frustrating all the way around. And we were talking about different players that could be impact players defensively. There's another kid that could be very, very, very impactful for this team or whatnot. And I told you up front, we talked about the regular guys. There's a kid out of North Carolina Central by the name of Cole Jones, runs a 4.4 in his 40. Definitely has a Brent Grimes type of attitude and mindset, but the difference is he's bigger than Brent Grimes, height-wise and weight-wise, and can go downhill. So this is a guy that can come in, play special teams, and get reps and learn how to be an NFL quarterback, and get him into a system, a weightlifting program during the season. And
how much does he weigh? How much does he weigh?
He's around 190, around 185, 190. Might be a little heavier than that. But when he comes downhill, we saw it in the Celebration Bowl. We've seen it in different games. He is a guy that does not mind smacking people, period. And he's at corner. But he can also cover, and pretty much his strong suit is being able to not just bump and run. He's a strong zone coverage corner as well. Good at driving his hips, good at getting those hands up, and really good at breaking up passes or breaking up timing routes or whatnot. And that is something that we're going to need on this defense heavy.
Bro, that's why I love Jahdae Barron, man. Everything you just said, Jahdae Barron is that type of talent. He's about 5'11", about 190, but he's not scared to hit. So you're going to need tackling on this defense, because when you have problems stopping the run, everybody on the field is going to have to be able to tackle. And actually, people don't talk about AJ Terrell's tackling ability, but he's probably one of the better tackling cornerbacks in the league.
Yeah, I like the tackle.
Yeah, so.
So here's the other question I got for y'all for tonight. So with everything else that goes on and whatnot with this team, we also brought a new kicker in. How do you guys feel about this kicker?
Well, I mean, I know he's kicking against air. It wasn't a lot of pressure on him, but I see him hit that big long kick. Anything to get cool up out of here. So I was ecstatic when I seen the news come through because, all last season, that was my kick. I was on, not on Penix, but I was on get cool out of here train. So, I mean, I'm fine, glad that they seen the light and brought the guy in. So I just think they just need to move on. But I guess it's going to be a kicking competition with him and Koo. But I'm just happy for it. They got to bring in somebody. And that's just how I feel about it. I don't know how, Smitty, what you think?
I absolutely love it, man. There's no knock against Koo, but I just don't see us paying $4 million to a kicker. $4 million last year, 4.2 this year, 4.5 next year. That's way too much money for a kicker. And the problem that he had with his hip last year, we don't even know how that's going to affect him going forward. And trust me, when you look at the landscape of the team, that $4 million, you can go out and get a role player that can come in and help this team. So I absolutely love that he has competition now. You saw it, like you talked about, 63-yard field goal. Yeah, I saw people was in my comments saying, but is he accurate? We'll only know that when he gets to count, when we get to the preseason. That's just something that you have to wait and see. Yeah, Koo was a Pro Bowler, but last year Koo took 2 steps backwards. 73% field goal percentage, that's not going to win football games. If you can get between 85 and 90%, that's going to win football games. So I think the competition could push Koo to get back to where he is, or it can just simply push him out the door. So I love it. Competition is key.
Okay.
And the best part about him was we got him out of Germany. So when you really look at where we got him, it was a developmental league that we got him in. And when you look at how he was able to hit from every side of it, pretty much he hit on both hash marks. He didn't miss any of those kicks. So at this point, he also banged out a 63-yarder. Now, the question is, can he do it when he has pressure on him? That's all we need to see. I love the leg. I love the leg.
That in preseason. We'll see that in preseason. Trust me.
I love the leg. I just want to see if he can do it when he's got pressure on him, or when he actually has somebody trying to feed their family. That's when we can actually see it. And
because one thing about it, when you just free kicking, you just kicking the ball up and away. When you kicking long kicks in the game, the kicks are much lower and able to be blocked. So that's what we'll have to wait and see.
And just think about it. You have over guys that are on that offensive, well, pretty much guys that are going to be on that line or whatnot blocking for him. And there's a lot of guys that's over 6 feet. So you got to equate with that. And the question is that going to throw him off? Because he's a soccer player. A little different kicking a soccer ball than it is a football. I like the leg strength. I like the accuracy that he has, but I want to see it when the bullets are live. So at this point,
some of the better kickers I've been. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying if he does take the job from Koo, where do we send him? Where do we send Koo? Do we get value for him or what?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel he cut. It's just me. But I mean, I'm happy that the guy got a leg. But the kickers and the football people I've been around, some of the better kickers have a soccer background because they can really kick that thing for as a soccer player. That's what I've been around. I've seen some of the better kickers have something like if you're offensive lineman having a wrestling background, that low center of gravity and leverage. So a lot of things that soccer players do with kicking, it translates into kicking in football too.
And I'm with Mike with penalty kicks. Yeah, that's a good point. But one thing about soccer players, they got bukus of confidence. That's one thing about a soccer player. You can't shake their confidence because they know at some point in the game they might have to make a hard kick. Especially, just say like for instance, on the soccer field, they doing bicycle kicks. You got to have confidence to pull something like that off. So when you talk about soccer, confidence is the first thing that comes to mind. And you remember the rugby player that played for the 49ers a couple of years ago. A rugby player played for the 49ers. Guess what they did? Put him on special teams because they know he's going to go out for physical contact because that's what rugby players do. Rugby players tackle people with no uniform, no nothing on. So imagine what they do with an NFL uniform. So, yeah, it's all about, it's translation, man. I think it'll be no problem at all.
And just think, our game over 150 years ago, our game actually was derived from rugby. It's crazy to think about it. Our American football, we throw the ball forward, they throw it backwards, but pretty much the same concept.
And the funny thing is,
Americans had to put their spin on it. That's all.
The rugby boys, they're a little different.
Funny thing is,
they got some screws loose. They're a little different.
Yeah, we played rugby. We played rugby growing up, but we called it throw up tackle. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's been around for a while.
Yeah, they just get paid for it. It'd be nice to get paid for that again in this life, wouldn't it?
Agreed. Facts.
Yeah,
man. One of my favorite people in the chat. What's up, GA Texas boy?
So what's up,
man? So here's the other thing that we got. So we got a new kicker. We're talking about that. The money. Everybody's been talking about how the money's been freed up. A little bit of money's been freed up and how things have been moving around. Outside of being able to sign our rookie class, do you think that we're going to be able to have some money that's going to be restructured and put to the side to where if we have to have an emergency where we're bringing in somebody, do you think we're going to have enough money for that?
That's a great question.
I mean, one thing about our GM is he did say I'm always going to have some money. So that's one thing about our GM. He's good with penny pinching and keeping the books right. He may not draft the best of greatest of players, but I think that's what will keep him a job is because he keeps the owner's money in line. I mean, except for that atrocious deal with Kirk Cousins that I think everybody had to sign off on that. That's a big deal, man. That's a huge deal. I just feel like it was a collective that came together. Of course, Raheem threw it out there, but it was collective that agreed upon it, and it was a bad decision.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I mean, I ain't mean to cut you off, but I was just saying that.
Go ahead.
I believe that our GM works better when he don't have money. He just, for some reason, he's good at penny pinching and crunching numbers. And I don't know. I just feel like he works better with no money than when he got a bunch of money. That's just me personally. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I agree, man. But you got to think too, man. I think money wise, I think we'll be all right for a while. But the true test is going to come in the preseason if somebody comes in and takes somebody else's job. We just talked about Storm Norton being at their right tackle position. They did bring in another tight end. If they were to think about trading Pitts, they could use that to go in the draft to go get another tight end. And you talk about just other positions on the field. We talked about Koo at the kicker. So we could free up money at some point, depending on if somebody lose their job in the preseason. That's how that may shake out.
Definitely could. All right. So with all the money that's being, like we said, with all the money that's being out there, things are bouncing around and whatnot. Again, it's pretty much one of these times where this organization, we're going to see how that money is spent, because when we had money, you saw where it all went. That was a hurt. That's still a sore spot for a lot of us right now. That is still a sore spot. And we tried to give it everybody tried to give it the good old college try with letting this guy come in, try to play, pretty much gave us a chance to win the division. No lie, we had it. And everything started to go downhill after that New Orleans game. I think they put a crawfish head, just a raggedy ass alligator foot. Somebody put something in the water or whatnot.
No, I don't believe
we went downhill. No, you don't lose to a 2-7 team the way that we lost to New Orleans. And then the week before, you lose to a horrible Seattle team that caught fire after they revamped their season after they got us. How many teams have we seen that have been bad and they re-jump started their season off on us?
Hey, but look, Ryan, I said it before the game even started. I said we lose this game and a team that lost 7 straight games, our season just gonna go down the drain. And that's exactly what happened. Because one thing about we know about Raheem Morris's ego. His ego gets the best of him. And he probably went to that game saying, man, we ain't got to do much. We just got to do this and do that and come out with a win. But you got to remember, it's a rivalry game. It's a rivalry game. So,
Right.
yeah, he definitely gonna go to the CFL. He's already done that.
Yeah, man. CFL, UFL, all the FLs. We on the hunt. But that's how you save money, man. These guys can play football too, man. Like around all of the big names, man. I would love to find somebody, working at Walmart, come out and show out, man. Why not? Hey, look, it'd be a good success story, man. We found somebody and brought them to light. You get on a cheap deal, then when it's time to re-sign them, hey, man, it's been good. Thank you.
We'll have our own. We'll have our own Invincible story. So if y'all don't know what Invincible is, go back and look. Vince Papale, who played for the Eagles for a couple of years or whatnot, substitute teacher, came off the street. We actually are working on trying to get him on the show, by the way. So just stay tuned.
And another crazy story. He lives in Atlanta now. Lee Woodall was a city worker on the trash can truck. And ended up being a linebacker in the NFL for a while.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about, man.
People forget Billy White Shoes Johnson was selling ice cream. He was doing a lot of different things before he went to Houston or whatnot, coming out of Widener University. So again,
right.
I'm just chuckling because it's a lot of guys that play college ball that just don't get the opportunity to come in and get a chance to play.
Yeah.
Facts.
For real.
So
I just feel like we need to scour the league. I mean, homework. That's where the homework come in. I mean, we can find an offer. I mean, I believe it's a right tackle out there with our name on it. In undrafted free agency, that'll be a great filler.
I told you, I've given about 15, 20 players that you can get off the undrafted untapped market from, whether they're from PWIs, HBCUs, FCS schools. Like, I've given those names because at the end of the day, I really look at it as if you have to give yourself a chance because we're limited with picks right now. So you have to really look at talented players that aren't getting opportunities, and at this point, you got to give them a shot. If you choose not to give them a shot, that's your ass, Mr. Postman. That's how we look at it.
We're going to have a 600 agent list, man. I'm talking about offense, and it might be like 8 offensive linemen. I'm telling you, man. We're going all defense in the draft, and undrafted free agent. Offensive lineman. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we definitely got to get strong in the trenches. I definitely agree with that.
That's one of the things that we've been preaching on this show for years. Even before we met you, Smitty. And when you came, you heard us always preaching. We always say, you can't win ball games if you can't control the line of scrimmage, whether that's offensively or defensively. And when you look at it, we got whipped up front in the middle of our defensive line a lot last year.
Yeah, undersized.
And when Calais Campbell was here the year before last, he was definitely a difference maker. Even though he was older, he definitely found a fountain of youth and had, I don't know what he did to his legs, but he definitely put himself in a spot to where he was very productive and he really fit what we did scheme-wise.
Yeah.
I just hate the fact that we couldn't keep him here. And the other guy that I felt like it was a few guys I felt like should have been on this team still. Calais Campbell was one. Jonnu Smith was the other one. Those two were very productive. And could you imagine?
Jonnu had a career year last year.
And that's why I'm saying, could you imagine Jonnu in this offense that we're running? We got Pitts, but imagine you got the double tight. Jonnu's a better blocker, of course, but you have both of those guys on the field at the same time in this offense with Michael Penix Jr.
Be a totally different story than what it was when he was here. Because like I said, you're going to see more red zone throws with Michael Penix. That's something we haven't seen in a while, even before Matt Ryan. So you're going to see a lot of that this year. So expect a lot of targets to Pitts, a lot of those guys, because we know Kirk Cousins could throw the ball, but in the red zone, he didn't have the arm strength to get through those tight windows.
Yeah,
I just keep it 100.
and Penix got that kind of arm, make them kind of throws. You like, man, you shouldn't even. I don't think you should throw that. He got one of them kind of arms. So,
hey man,
Kirk
Penix can
can
break
like
fingers. Penix can break fingers.
And here's the thing:
Like,
we just got to get the experience up with Penix. We just got to get through. We got to get through the growing pains with him, because at this point, when you really look at it, Penix is one of those guys that is definitely somebody who has the makings of a Warren Moon. I'm gonna always say that. Been saying this since we got it.
Yeah. I said the same thing. Yeah, I see it.
You take that jersey number off and you stand both of them next to each other. You literally see the same fluid motions and you see everything that's coming through.
I heard it come out of Warren Moon mouth on my buddy's show.
Yeah, Moon even said it. So.
Touring the AFC South. He said it on his show that he sees a lot of him and Michael Penix.
Yeah, so it came out of his mouth. So yeah, you were definitely correct on that, Mr. Historian, before he even said it. So.
It's just, and a lot of people laugh at me. They're like, "You always comparing these old school players." I say, you got to understand, they weren't plumbers and painters. They actually were football players that could ball. Warren was a guy, unfortunately, that just ran up against the Buffalo Bills at that time during that time. And if you look at that team back in the day, that Houston Oilers team should have at least got one Super Bowl, at least one up under them, because you look at Haywood Jeffries, Ernest Givens, you got Warren Moon there, and then they ended up getting what's my man name? He came out of Cleveland. He came out of Cleveland or whatnot, and ended up going to Houston. I can't think of his name. It'll come to me when I least expect it. But when you look at it,
quarterback,
wide receiver. He played for Cleveland or what? He played for Cleveland back in the day.
What was it? Drew Hill?
No. Drew Hill was retiring at that time. They replaced Drew Hill with
was Ernest Givens and Haywood Jeffrey still there?
Yeah, Haywood was already drafted there. He was there. So the guy that I'm talking about that's coming from Cleveland or whatnot was the year before, but it'll come back to me. But other than that, all you can do is just sit back and just think of what if. Now you got a guy that plays like a Warren Moon, and he's definitely. It just came to me. Webster Slaughter was the other guy.
Yeah, I forgot about him, man.
So when you look at that, and you look at what kind of weapons you're giving Michael Penix Jr. at this point, it's on real similar to that run and shoot offense that they had. The difference is, instead of having Mike Rozier in the backfield, you have Bijan Robinson in the backfield, who definitely is a problem. So all I can say is good luck trying to stop it once all these guys are healthy.
Yeah,
What's good, Axe Handle Will? What you got on the pink slip for us today, dog?
Who getting fired today? Who getting fired today?
I was saying since I had met Nolan Smith today, man, at my job, man. He pulled up at my job, I had some little fried food. I like, no, that's Nolan Smith. He was like, yeah. I said, oh, congratulations. I ain't got no picture with him, but we had talked out to them. Salute. I saw my Falcon fan, which the Falcons could have drafted him, but he came by and pulled, stopped by, show some love though, man. But yeah, though, man, I'm excited for the draft, man. See what we gonna do. But like you said, man, we need to really focus on these trenches, man. I think we need to go defensive line or go defensive end, either way. But second round, I want us to get us a center. We got to get us a real true center, though. We got to, because there's no way that I don't have nothing against Musa, whatever, the dude who's starting, taking over the Drew Dahmer spot. But he got kind of problems with not spiking the ball. But I just don't think he's more a run blocker. He's not a good pass blocker like that. This is my guard, honest opinion.
You good on that. But think about it though. He was solid when Dahlman was down, and I think he was starting to get the hang of it at that point. But I'm with you. I don't mind going to get somebody out of Wisconsin or Iowa. Hell, I'll even take Jared Wilson out of Georgia, or even Cooper May out of Tennessee.
Jared Wilson is my sleeper in this draft, man. That dude, he gonna be a monster.
I think we take him middle rounds.
It's
fourth round.
It's either, I'm gonna be honest. If we take him, if we don't take him, you got to take either Cooper Mays or you got to take somebody out of Iowa or Iowa State. You got to take somebody out of those conferences because we know that they produce linemen.
Yeah.
They didn't go to any of those pro days. They seen everybody at Georgia because they had the whole contingency there. That's why I feel like it's a good possibility to take Jared Wilson because they had eyes on him. They didn't have eyes in Iowa and all these other places. So I'm just reading the tea leaves. I could be totally wrong. They could go Iowa, they could go Wisconsin.
I think they doing their due diligence. I think they're doing their due diligence now because of the past few years. This went
Super
down
Bowl.
And why all that talent from their backyard go mosey on up I-95 North and get a ring and be in playoff games consistently. I think they're looking like, all right, we missed on this one. Let's see if we can find something. But it's just crazy to think, but that was a generational defense, man. It's scary to even think that much talent was on one side of the ball on that team. That's scary.
Y'all heard it here first. I think the Eagles gonna trade up and get Malachi Starks because they need help in safety real bad. So if you see a big move, it's gonna be the Philadelphia Eagles to go get Starks.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I can see them getting Starks, but I'm gonna tell you who else I can see them getting, bro. Dan Jackson. He fits what Philly does.
Yeah,
hard working, and this is what I think is gonna move Dan up. Dan ran a 4.4 in his 40, a 4.4, and then not just that, he was the best defensive player at the Senior Bowl. They all said that.
Who was the best defensive player?
Dan Jackson.
He fits in the NFL as a rover back.
Yep, he would fit Philly's defense perfect because they already got. They already have. They're going to probably end up moving Ringo to probably safety. I can tell you that now. He's been playing corner, but they're going to move him to safety. But you got Cooper DeJean and you got the other kid that's on the other corner, and those were rookies. And you bring him in.
You got Mitchell on the other side,
Mitchell on the other side, I'm sorry. Yeah. You have those two corners that were rookies this year that helped them win a Super Bowl. And if you bring something like a Dan Jackson in the back with those guys, that's a cheat code. With Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis in the front. That is a cheat code.
Well, I ain't front. No, the Commanders gonna be good though. People sleeping on the Commanders now. Commanders are really
we
ain't sleep on them. They just needed a quarterback. They had talent. That was never the problem. They just never had a quarterback. But
they got one.
And here's the scary part. Yeah. They didn't even have good receivers. They only had the receivers were solid. Terry McLaurin was the best receiver. They really don't have any good receivers there. That's the other scary part about it. They gonna draft receivers this year. They got a ton of money and they got draft picks now. So now you have to contend with not just Philly. You got Washington. You still got Detroit up there, and we still got to deal with Tampa. And do not sleep on Carolina. Yeah. Do not sleep on them. They are definitely figuring it out right now.
Yeah,
hey, trust me, I see them going defense heavy like they did a couple of years ago. Yep. If they get one of those top edge rushers in the first round, they back on track. Because guess what? You got Derrick Brown coming back, and then you have a lot of defenses guys like in the second round, like a Donovan Ezaraku from Boston College. So I mean, it's just two picks that can put Carolina back on the map.
Yeah, and the thing is, we also talked about the defensive lineman. It's a kid by the name of Ty Robinson coming out of Nebraska. I talked about him weeks ago. And
I was just about to say something, but he one of the most underrated centers in the league.
Yep. Between Ty and Zeke Biggers, those are two of the most slept on defensive tackles that's going to be in this draft.
And Ty actually was the most efficient. He was the most efficient tackle in the NCAA last year at that position.
But no one talks about him because Nebraska just was up and down and they weren't that good. That's the reason why they didn't talk about him. And I think it's hilarious that they get slept on because Ty Robinson, when you talk about it, he's a technical player. speed, power, 6'5", 300-pounder, and you're talking about a guy who's a solid tackler. He's a solid tackler. He's definitely good in the pass rush, and he can also eat up blocks to keep your linebackers clean. That is one of his strong suits. Now, when you look at his weaknesses, the only problem that I've seen, and he could get better with that with technique, and I think if he got to Atlanta with the D-line coach that we have, we can help him. Too many people get at that pad level. They get up under these right here. They get in his chest. So when he's in that spot, when they get in his chest, he's a sitting duck. Yeah. So that's the only issue I have with him. I'd like to see those hands be a little bit more active. But when you talk about power, first quick step, being able to pressure the quarterback, he does that well.
Sort of like another Husker, Grant Wistrom back in the day.
Yep. How do y'all feel about Zeke Biggers out of Georgia Tech? Literally right in the same neighborhood. You might as well say, not backyard, in the neighborhood.
The Falcons got to do what he got to do, man. His story, they got to do what he do. The scout, it's up to the scout department. Terry Fontenot, Raheem Morris, Arthur Blank. Oh, it's gonna take the whole front office to scout these teams and stop judging dudes about their past because nobody's perfect. We all human beings. We make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like we need to just get the diamonds in the rough, the dudes who gonna play with a chip on their shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Who pay for the logo, not just for money. You know what I'm saying? It's all about a team effort. So,
agreed.
Yeah, man.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, even though we don't like the Falcons, this is the problem. We don't never take the time. We always drafting like more SEC players. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with getting SEC players, but you got to get these dudes right there after. They ain't nothing but an hour away. So I seen them a lot. Like the scouting department went out there a lot. Like they on Jalen Walker. They were I think they went to Mike Green scouting too. They went out there in Virginia. I don't know whatever that school was at, but I heard they went through all these programs. But we just got to do what we got to do, man, because we won't have 4 picks. So if I'm the Falcons,
Mike. Here's the thing: Mike ain't dropping out of the top 10. I'm telling you that now. He ain't dropping out of the top 10. Falcon fans,
that's what I said.
Falcon fans, I know y'all want him, but he is not dropping out of the top 10. So y'all can forget it.
I might be playing against him on Sundays.
Mike Green.
So who you think?
He got off the field issue. He gonna drop.
But he ain't dropping the 15 though. It's some teams that'll actually take a chance on him. That's what I'm saying. And I'm just saying it's teams that'll take a chance on him, and they need an edge. It's a lot of teams that need edge rushers right now. A lot of teams right now.
Hoping we the team to take the chance at 15. Hoping we take the chance.
But if I'm us though,
the sweet spot for him to go.
Mike Green ain't the only person I seen that dude at a Texas A&M, that defensive line. Well, he weighs 6'5", and
he a bit raw though, man. He a bit too raw.
He only got 4 sacks. He only got 4 sacks in 4 years.
You gotta have production, man. I'm not with.
I'm just saying. What are we having problems with? I want you to answer that. What are we having problems with?
Stopping the run.
I'm asking K-Dub. No, I'm asking K-Dub. What are we having problems with, bro?
Getting sacks.
Getting to the quarterback.
And here's the problem. You are speaking on this guy who had problems with getting to the quarterback at Texas A&M when he had Walter Nolan, who's one of the best defensive tackles before he went to Ole Miss. And they had a defense before Jimbo Fisher left. They had a defense because they spent a ton of money on that draft class. And you remember that. They had the #1 recruiting class, and he was a part of that. But still, I'm looking at I would take a Jahad Campbell or a Michael Williams or even another guy that I would look at, quiet as it's kept, is Elijah Wilkinson. Steve Weiss talked about him on the show. This is a guy that's out of Morgan State. Definitely can play interior and also can play on the edge as well as a hefty guy that can move. He just needs to be in a weightlifting program where he actually has access to the nutrition and also the facilities like the big PWI kids have coming out. But when you talk about that motor, he's got it. So I'm just saying, I'm just not looking just at that cat there. Everybody talked about him, and he's a hell of a player. But as I said before, my boy Carson Vincent, He whooped every last one of them dudes during that Senior Bowl. And these are guys that are top players, from Savion Jones out of LSU, the kid that you talked about out of Texas A&M. And I'm just looking at the fact that we got to get guys that are hungry and guys that aren't used to, guys that really want to be here. Because you got to remember, too, it's some guys that might say the right things in front of the camera, but they might not want to come here either.
Yeah.
And I think Shamar Stewart gonna have to go to a team like the 49ers, who already have a defensive line built up, so he can have the time to develop. If he has to come in and be an immediate impact guy, that might delay him just a little bit. But if he goes to a team that has a defensive line that has chemistry and intact, and all he has to do is fill in for his first year or two, I think that's the perfect spot for him.
Another guy that you take is Sorrell. Lastly, I'm just gonna bring this up because we're gonna wrap this thing up. But if you really look at it, Sorrell out of Texas, Sorrell is a guy that doesn't get talked about much. And we're talking about all these guys here. Here's my thing. We apparently got a sweet spot for Texas. So guess what? That is a guy that can come in, and he was very disruptive his whole career, not just this year, from the time he stepped foot as a freshman all the way up until now. And Bijan Robinson know about him very well. So
it's a couple guys I like out of Texas,
Yeah, that defensive tackle named Collins, that's a space eater, big mover. Woo.
Can we bring him in with some biscuits and some gravy and some collard greens on the side? Can we bring him? Can we lure him in with a plate of food?
Hey man, I got chicken wing downstairs. I'm all for it.
Okay, I got the biscuits, gravy, and collard greens and peach cobbler up here. K-Dub, what you got?
Hey man, I got them appetizers, whatever he needs.
Will gonna probably have the liquor over there.
No, I'm good, man. No,
you know what? We gotta keep him with apple. I'm sorry, we gotta keep our players with apple juice.
I'm gonna have my players eating bananas and fruit salads and eating baked chicken and sawing and all that good stuff.
You better make sure he ain't allergic to bananas.
Yeah. We gotta eat lean.
Gotta keep him lean, not protein. Gotta keep him lean.
And taking sea moss and everything. We gotta do everything over here.
Right.
But lastly, fellas, it's been a pleasure working with y'all tonight. But lastly, this is what I was gonna ask, and then it's pretty much a done deal. We're gonna put a bow on this thing and get ready for the interview for tomorrow. When we look at the fans, because we're gonna talk about it, because it was a comment that was made earlier, and I got time tonight, and I don't mind calling it out, and I'm far from it. Now, Larry, what's going on, man? You my guy. I love you. We appreciate the support, and I definitely appreciate you being active in the chat. Larry was saying that I argue with everything that y'all said. It's everybody. Here's the thing. You have to understand the art of debating. We debate in here. We're not trying to be all kumbaya and take sides, because me and K-Dub off the camera, that's my dog. That's my partner. But on this show, it's like Skip and Shannon.
Yeah,
it's like Skip and Shannon sometimes, man. But at the end of the day, that's Birdcage family right there all day. So we're going to disagree because he doesn't agree with everything that I say. So it's not just that. Y'all got to realize we all have strong personalities in here. We all like the fact we all root for the same team. We all root for this ATL and that bird logo, but we also all see things differently. So that's what makes it unique. So it's no hate or nothing like that, man. It's not that I want to go against everything that they say. No, I have a belief in what I've said and what I've read and what I've studied and what I've put in hours outside of just jumping on the camera to talk about.
Okay.
It's a lot of preparation that goes into this. You don't just get on the camera and you just start bumping your gums. You just don't do that, because we have us as content creators, we have to have information for the fan base. Accurate information. Let me put an accurate information for the fan base. At least 80 to 85% has to be accurate. No one's ever gonna be 100%. We strive for that though. So
like you said, man, it's that's what makes the show makes the unique. Make the bird cage, man. It's people's opinions, man. Because even on national TV, I mean, people are opinionated. So
and Larry,
but
Larry, but for real though, when we do have our next event, dog, you got to pull up. Will got to pull up. Smitty, you got to pull up too.
I'm there.
So when we have our next event, man, we definitely want everybody. Like, look, we all respect everybody's opinion on here. We did have an episode some weeks ago where we had a crash out on there, but you know, it's okay. Everybody has those type fans and fan base. It's okay. But you won't be doing that foolishness here, not in this camp. But
it happens.
Yeah. So Smitty, tell the folks where they can find you from. Will, thank you for tapping in as always. He didn't bring out the axe of the pink slips today, which is a surprise.
Yeah, one more thing before I go, man. I want to say this, though, man. Michael Jones go to Young Scooter, the rapper who got last week.
Pete Scooter.
Man. Tough, man. These days you can't really trust these women these days. You know how we was raised, we always had respect women, but now this young generation, these women won't do too much for them. It's not really genuine love no more. They won't do to they use they for JJ, you know, for priorities more than anything. They don't want to work for nothing. They put the effort in. So that's why I be single to myself until I find the right wife, man.
That's why dads are important.
What's up? That was up, Will.
Absolutely.
Hey, Will. That's why dads in the home are important, especially if you got a little girl. You need to teach them. Daddy love is always important.
Supposed to be their first example of how to be treated. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I like that outro.
So all the daddies out there that got daughters, please teach them to love and protect themselves out here. But lastly, also I gotta say rest in peace to Val Kilmer. He passed away yesterday. And we also have to say rest in peace to Oakland Raiders and LA legend John Vella, offensive lineman, one of the best in the game to do it.
Man.
To be in the Hall of Fame. He passed away today, 74 years old.
Man, these people leaving him, man.
So we gotta make sure, like, folks, take care of yourself, take care of your health. As my man A1 says, health as well. He always says that when he comes on here. So shout out to A1, Chris. We were supposed to get you on tonight, but we wanted to make sure we shouted you out or whatnot. Smitty, tell the folks where they can find you.
Hey, you know where to find me, man, on the Sports Machine, man, on YouTube. Constantly pumping out content. Also NFC South Roundtable. We'll get back to that soon on Tuesday, 7:00. Y'all can go back and check the replay of previous shows that we've done. I always have a great time kicking it with the guys, talking football. And I always thank you for being supportive of the Sports Machine and coming through supporting the Sports Machine, man. We really, really appreciate it.
Hey, man, we definitely appreciate you coming through here. You, A1, Berto, 95 North. Shout out to those guys out there who come through. And for those in the back that was supposed to come out, I sent you an invitation. There's too many people to name. We appreciate you guys for at least giving us the effort and the time of day to try to work us in with your schedule with the pop-up show. And last but definitely will never be least, the fans. Thank y'all for tuning in, because without you guys, we don't have platforms, whether that's Smitty's show, whether that's this show right here. We don't have platforms without you. So give yourself a round of applause. Thank you for helping us keep this thing going. But tomorrow, show the same love that you showed tonight. We have a legend coming in here. It's very rare that you get these guys to do these interviews nowadays.
Boy.
For my FAMU alum out here, Central State alum, and Cheney alum, by the way, you know who Mr. And matter of fact, can't forget about Miles College too, because he coached there as well. So check out Billy Joe, the legend, to come in here tomorrow night. We're definitely gonna have a live show in the interview. Gonna talk to him about his playing days, winning the Super Bowl with Joe Namath. What was that like? Being a rookie of the year, and just so many things that he brought to the table. And just put it this way, a young Nick Saban actually learned from him in the coaching clinic, by the way, many times. So for those Bama fans out there, he ain't the only one with 7. This man we got coming tomorrow has 7. So put a little respect on the brother's name, because that right there is goatish. So as we say in the birdcage, baby, appreciate you, Smitty, for coming through. K-Dub, thank you, my boy. As always, it's a pleasure, my guy.
Go.
Yes, sir. So you either get right or you get left, man. We'll catch you tomorrow, 8 p.m. sharp. Don't be late. We got you. Ghost.